Hey everyone, welcome, Mark Devo here. So welcome to this video on pain and suffering, clinging and evolution. So I'm just looking down at my computer here, keep me on track. So I might unpack things and repeat things, so bear with me. I shouldn't, but when I look down it does keep me on track, as you know. So it does seem like a bit of quite a few concepts going on in terms of pain and suffering, clinging and evolution, but there was no simple way to kind of get the insight and message across that hopefully this will just add a lot of value to everyone's lives out there, which I feel it will. So it was sparked, I've had this insight before, and this was sparked actually waking up one morning and playing with my kid. He's 5 years old. Sunday morning, there's no pressure, no obligations. Actually, this was I think last week Sunday. So woke up. Yeah, it was just a beautiful day. Sun streaming in, playing with him. He was jumping. He was, had a beautiful smile on his face, and there was just no other place to be. But I then did find myself clinging to that moment and wanting that moment to last, especially because he's 5. They grow so quick. For those of you that do have kids, and I find myself clinging to that moment of just wanting to have that moment last forever. And I think a lot of us do that in all spheres of our lives. So let's just unpack this here. And like I said, I think this is a profound, awesome insight that can really be used everyday life and just add awesome value, which I hope it does. Cool. So, and I think the best way to get this point across is through the eyes of looking through life through the eyes of eternity, being eternal, being part of the oneness. So this is a bit of a more spiritual talk. I seem to kind of go down that path more often than not. That is, to me and most people out there, the way and the truth. But yeah, let's keep this practical as always, so you can actually apply this in everyday life. Okay, so let me stop yabbering away and just follow here. So I think the main part is actually clinging. And so the key points are, we've all heard of clinging. And if you in that realm and the spheres of meditation and the gurus, and there's a lot going on in the world. So you've obviously heard of that word and term, clinging, but a lot of us don't actually understand what clinging is. So we're here not to cling, not to cling to those material things in the world, and everything is really material in this world. The spirit world behind that, or the material world, is, according to Rudolf Steiner, the material world is an expression of the spiritual world. Okay, but I'm not going to go down that road here. So clinging is basically clinging to anything material. So you do have to look at it through the eyes of being eternal, because I think a lot of that pain and suffering people are going to experience more of that pain and suffering because they are so bound in this material world that we're living in. So that's not the root though, or that's not the cause. It's true what I'm saying in terms of not to cling to material things, but a lot of people don't understand why not to cling to those things. So the root cause is found in not realizing we are part of that eternity, that evolution, karma, reincarnation, which I'll unpack here. So let's just keep it very practical. In key points, clinging causes pain and suffering. So pain is different to suffering in that sometimes or often we are provided with painful experiences for learning, but how we deal with that pain then will determine suffering, which does not need to continue once the lesson has been learned. So we have the pain, I believe, and you can probably corroborate this with other sources out there, that we are here to learn different lessons, and pain is it's never gonna just go away. You can consciously suffer though and see pain for what it truly is. But if you don't understand what pain is, if you can't learn that lesson, you end up repeating those things, and that's where the suffering comes from as well. You are creating more suffering out of that pain. Okay, but I'm not going to unpack that too much here. I'm going to deal with more of the clinging. So, and then that point is clinging causes pain and suffering. The other point is, as I've mentioned before, living life. So life honors evolution. Okay, everything is evolving, and think of evolution in terms of evolving, that nothing is ever the same. It's always there's always a process of evolution and new experiences. So life honors new experiences. So if you go back to my example of my kid, how I wanted to cling to that scenario of us just being in the moment, sun streaming through, and we were just having an awesome time, smile on his face. It was just a beautiful moment. You know, that's never going to happen again in that way. It's always evolving. Something's always whether it's subtle or it's a large evolution. So there's no point in actually clinging to that, because there's going to be other experiences all the time. And if you see it from the backdrop of reincarnation, that further expands our awareness. But I'll just unpack this a little bit more here. And then reincarnation and karma has been spoken about by all the main, what's the word I'm looking for, gurus or personas or entities we could call, greater figures in life that we have seen throughout history, from the Buddha to including Christ as well. Christ is a little bit different in terms of he's not going to reincarnate into a physical being again, but let me not go down that rabbit hole. But Christ's message was also in terms of reincarnation. If you think about what he says, my kingdom is not of this world, and the mystery of Golgotha, i.e. dying on the cross, is one of the mysteries and symbolic of life after death. So just to paint that picture of reincarnation. And I'm actually going to put a link in the video to Rudolf Steiner's Karma and Reincarnation, which is pretty awesome. Some of his work is quite in depth, and it either makes absolute sense, you have to listen to it again, or it makes absolutely no sense. There's no grey area I find with Rudolf Steiner's stuff, which is awesome. There's no, it either is or isn't for you in that moment. Okay, so with the backdrop of reincarnation, so I hope this is all lining up. And the greatest deception is most of us have forgotten that. You know, you have to look at life that in this time, you know, we just have perhaps forgotten that we are eternal and have reincarnated. It's a concept that people have maybe just forgotten. And I'd say maybe, just to keep those who are a bit dubious of that, you know, just think about that. You might have just forgotten that, and you are eternal, but you're just in this existence now. So anyway, I hope that makes a little bit of sense. So, as I said, if we see it life always changing and evolving, we can see we are part of this, and so we don't need to cling to every little moment. And then we are clinging because we think. So yeah, we are clinging because we are based in this material world. A lot of us are just based in this material world, in this material outlook. And it's going to be hard for people that just think that they live and die. You can apply these principles of not clinging to someone per se that just thinks they live and die, but most of the time it's going to be a tough, hard life if you don't see beyond that, because you're trying to accrue things. You have that pressure of I should be here, I should be there. You want to cling to that moment because you want that to be your fulfilling part, but you're not allowing for that greater picture of flowing and not clinging and allowing you are part of the evolution and movement and flow of life, if that makes sense. Okay, and then pain comes in because it reminds us. So life is telling us, cool, here's a lesson. What can you learn from it? Like stubbing your toe, you try not to do that again. But then if you haven't learned your lesson, then you hit it again, and sometimes it's even worse if the pain is a little bit more. So pain is just life's indicator, which I've spoken about in some of my other videos, telling us that we are repeating certain things that we're not learning. So if you look at a dam or that gets blocked up and stagnant, the flow is not going through, it festers. You could almost say that's a symbol for pain. It festers and just gets pretty rank, if I can say that word. So yeah, I think that's a good analogy. And then we cling to something because we are afraid of change, or we want that moment to last, which I've said again, and it's clinging to different things: a partner, a kid, spirituality. And the difference comes with savoring and clinging. There's a big difference. I can enjoy that moment with my kid on the bed jumping, and we're just having a blast, savoring that moment, knowing it's going to pass, and carrying on from there. Okay, but the clinging comes where we think we now are thinking, I don't want this to, I want this to last forever, blah blah blah. Why can't life always be like this, or whatever the case may be? And that's clinging to that. Now you're also not present, so you're not experiencing that part of life. Okay, So that next time you're feeling pain or suffering, ask yourself what you can learn. What is life moving you towards? And realize you are eternal, part of God, infinite intelligence, call it what you will at this stage, experiencing and experience the time without the fear of death. Because if you have that greater picture of reincarnation and you're eternal and you perpetually learning things, you're not going to put pressure in this lifetime of having to do everything you need to do right here and now. You can learn certain things, but if you don't have that bigger picture, you're not going to see further lessons that you're on the journey and learning. So I hope that makes sense. So to finish on the key points, clinging or resistance, we could say, causes pain and suffering because we do not realize or we have forgotten. Or one could say we are even asleep to the fact that we are eternal and part of God, infinite intelligence, and that life honors evolution and new experiences. I hope that makes sense. It does to me. I'm sure it will after I review this. So I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. Thanks a lot. Like, subscribe, share, drop some comments, experiences, insights as well. And yeah, have a good one. See you.